focused on the story. We now cross live to our reporter, Martha Holeyman, who is in London. A very good evening to you, Martha. Politicians have had their say. There's been months of campaigning. Now it's up to the voters to decide. Is it still too close to call?
It's absolutely far too close to call. So the polls have been open since 7 o'clock, this morning, British time, and we've got about 4.5 hours left, just a little bit less than 4.5 hours. Now, as we heard in the report just before, nobody has a crystal ball, and so we really do not know what the outcome is going to be. But as you can see behind me, one of the factors that will possibly have an effect on the turnout is absolutely the weather that we've been seeing. If you just look at the amount of water you see behind me, I am outside the Houses of Parliament in Westminster. There is a pool of water in Parliament Square. Now, bizarrely, across the rest of the UK, the weather has varied enormously. So we do know that in some areas, voter turnout has been affected by the poor weather, but in other areas, business has resumed as normal. So in terms of voter turnout, we know that a record number of people have been registered to vote, more than 46 million people. Whether that number of people will actually turn out to vote is another question. But at the moment, we're going to really have to wait and see until it gets to the close of the polls to be able to indicate at all whether it's going to be a leave or a remain for the UK.
Remind us very briefly of the main arguments around staying or leaving the European Union.
So the main arguments that we've seen for staying and leaving have very much centred around the same issues. So the main ones being immigration and the economy. So the immigration, the main argument that the Leave campaign had was that we could not control the amount of immigration that was coming into the UK if we remained a member of the European Union. They're saying that if we leave the European Union, then we will have greater control of our borders. But then the Remain campaign are saying that immigration is good for the economy in the UK. It says that it's good for jobs, and that the EU immigrants contribute greatly to this country. And then secondly, the other big issue which has been on the minds of both campaigners and those that are going to be voting is the economy. So the Leave campaign is saying that the UK is really held back by being part of the single market in the European Union. They said that there's far too much red tape in order for UK businesses to thrive. And then the Remain campaign are saying that if we were to leave the European Union, then growth would be slow and that the sterling pound would also suffer. So those really are the two big arguments that have been really pushed throughout the months of campaigning.
Voting still very much underway, a few hours left. When are the results likely to come in?
So we do have a few hours left. We have, as I said, about 4.5 hours, a little bit less than that now. So plenty of people coming home from work, rushing to their nearest poll station, I'm sure. So we're hoping to see those numbers increasingly go up. So the polls will shut then at 10 o'clock UK time, and then straight away those votes will begin to be counted all across the country. And we will hopefully start to have some of those results trickle in at around midnight, and then on they will slowly begin to come in until we start to get a more fuller picture. Now it very much depends on what the balance of the vote is likely to be. So if there is either the Remain or the Leave campaign, if one of those two manages to get past that 50% mark of the votes, then we will know much sooner on who is the victorious side. But what we do know is that the final result of who has actually won the campaign will be announced in Manchester, and that will be readily available for everybody around breakfast time on Friday morning.
That was our correspondent in the UK, Martha Holeyman, bringing us the latest there. Britons, of course, voting in that referendum whether they should leave or stay in the European